You're listening to the Monocle Daily, first broadcast on the 14th of August 2026 on Monocle Radio.
How are people keeping cool in Australia, North Korea and the United Arab Emirates? What books should you not take to the beach? And the secret to avoiding a fine for a late library book? Keep it for more than a century. I'm Andrew Muller. The Monocle Daily starts now. Hello and welcome to the Monocle Daily, coming to you from our studios here at Midori House in London. I'm Andrew Muller. It's Friday, so we'll be joined by Rob Bound for the daily weekly quiz. We'll meet the filmmaker Ebbs Burno, and we'll have our weekly wrap-up of what we've learned. Stay tuned, all that and more coming up right here on the Monocle Daily. You're listening to The Daily with me, Andrew Muller, and it is Friday, and it is therefore time to welcome back to the table Rob Bound, my fellow contributing editor for the daily weekly quiz. Rob still, frankly, radiating insufferable smugness following his unprecedented victory last week. How have you been celebrating?
I've been celebrating with wine and aircon, hence I'm back, Andrew. This is a place like no other on a suffocating Friday afternoon. It's been great. I'm hoping to be riding a wave of victory.
Was there a parade in your hometown?
Yeah, exactly. There was bunting, champagne, and I got to herd my sheep across London Bridge.
Well, no less.
All of the ancient rites.
Exactly. And no less than you deserve after that sterling performance.
Thank you.
I mean, that being the case, you being reigning champion, it seems reasonable to suggest that you can decide who goes first. You can either take it yourself or I can go first.
I'm going to get. Do you want to ask me first? Let's whack one in the back of the net, Andrew.
Okay, so this is confidence. Let's find out, listeners, how misplaced or otherwise it is. The first question you are faced with this week, Rob, is this: in the Australian settlement of Kiama, a book was discovered in a tea chest hidden in a boarded-up fireplace and determined to have been borrowed from the local library circa the 1870s. It has now been returned, and the fine, which would have been about 28 grand in today's money, has been waived. But what is the title of the book? Is it A, Antiquities of Athens? Is it B, Treasures of Troy? C, Relics of Rome? Or D, Baubles of Babylon?
I love the last one.
It is obviously an archaeological work in nature.
Is it? No, it's not a Christmas decorations catalogue.
It is not.
Circa 1870.
Yeah.
What's the name? What's the name in Australia?
Kiama. It's on the coast, I think, a little bit south of Sydney. Pleasant enough town. I've been there at least once that I can recall.
And obviously, any home for a budding classicist.
Well, clearly.
So we've got something of Rhodes.
No, Rome. Relics of Rome. Yeah,
it's going well so far.
Relics of Rome.
Can you just really speedily run me through the options?
Antiquities of Athens, Treasures of Troy, Relics of Rome, or Baubles of Babylon.
I think there's been a lot of Greek stuff in the news, in culture recently. So I'm going to upset that apple cart. I'm going with Relics of Rome.
Relics of Rome. Rob, you'll be infuriated to learn that your first instincts were entirely correct. It is Antiquities of Athens by James Stewart and Nicholas Revitt. It has caused great excitement in Kiama. People have apparently been driving from surrounding settlements and hamlets to view the book and grasp it.
It's a pretty old book. I mean, that must be very much a first edition of anything, right?
I know, but there are other books in Kiama, I assume. Anyway, actually, you know what, Rob? The playing of the sound effect to denote your wrongness does remind me we have not yet played our annoying theme music. So late in the quiz, we're just going to drop that in. You do not, however, get a recount.
Well, pleasurable it is to watch you dancing on your stool.
If that's what you were thinking. So anyway, it is now. It's still zip, but
okay.
You've blown.
Are you ready for your
one.
question?
I'm ready.
This week, Elon Musk announced plans to construct the world's largest building in Grimes County, Texas. The reportedly 100 million square foot factory will be a joint supply chain facility for SpaceX and Tesla, as well as producing AI chips to go in Tesla's Optimus robots. What is Elon Musk, with his well-known ear for subtlety, going to call it? Is it A, monolith? Is it B? I wish we had some echo on this, actually. Is it B, Exodus? Is it C, Terrafab? Or D, Megatron?
Or is it E, Bellend?
No points for getting it actually right.
Okay, so this is Elon Musk building a large building, which will obviously be a monument to his own rampaging ego. The first one was monolith.
Monolith.
The other three:
Exodus, Terrafab, Megatron.
Megatron, I have a vague suspicion. Is that going to be somebody else's copyright? Terrafab does sound far too utilitarian. Exodus, you could see him doing that annoying. It'll be spelt with the capital X, O-O-Dus. But that's a specific part of his empire. Monolith or Megatron? Monolith is what a vainglorious nitwit with some sense of actual history and grandeur would call it. So I'm going with Megatron. No.
That was my sort of Transformers, because he's called Optimus robots, and I'm sure, that one might have passed you by, Andrew. It is, in fact, Terrafab. Terrafab is slated to be 100 million square feet, exceeding Tesla's roughly 10 million square foot factory already in Texas. And it's going to be more than 5 times the size, importantly, for Elon, of the New Century Global Center in Chengdu, China, currently the world's largest building. What do you think about it? But he has got a massive... He's because of his wonderful tin ear for getting the public along with his projects. He's built a huge thing called Colossus, which is a huge artificial intelligence supercomputer data center in like a tiny town with about 12 people living in it. So that's how to get the locals on your side, Andrew.
Fantastic.
Ever wondered? That's how to do it.
Okay. Build
a Colossus.
Well, it is 0-0 now.
Okay.
And this is your second question. And it is this. Organisers of annual pan-continental warbling tournament, the Eurovision Song Contest, have this week unveiled some reforms to the competition. Which of these is not a genuine or actual proposed change to the rules? So 3 of these are real, 1 isn't. Is it A, banning winning countries from hosting it if they are involved in armed conflict or any other sensitive geopolitical situation? Is it B, restricting viewers to voting for their top 3 acts rather than voting multiple times for the same contestant as they can do now? Is it C, banning viewers from voting for contestants from neighbouring countries? Or is it D, raising the minimum age for singers from 16 to 18? 3 of those.
That's quite good.
3 of those are real reforms. 1 isn't.
Okay, so I don't think there's any. They do have the Junior Eurovision. That is a thing. I've seen quite a good documentary about that. Mm-hmm. So the age thing, they could be trying to make that more of a thing, in which case you might separate the ages further. So I can see that being a kind of editorial play.
Yep, plausible.
What? It's clearly wrong because you agree with me and you're making a face, listeners. And can you quickly run me through the options?
Banning any winning countries from hosting it the following year
if they're fighting each other.
If they're fighting with someone else or among each other or whatever. Restricting viewers to voting only for their top 3 acts rather than, as you can now, voting up to 10 times for the same contestant. Or C, banning viewers from voting for contestants from neighbouring countries.
That can't be right, because I mean, where would we be without the lovely Cyprus and Greece and all these?
Maybe this is what they're trying to address.
But that's part of the charm.
Except Eurovision is always saying we are not political.
Yeah. I think it might be the first one. I mean, I know they're all they've got a kind of, they would love to, like FIFA, I think they have a peacekeeping consideration about them. I'm going with A.
No, you can't host it if you are at war. I think this is a reflection of their absolute terror of the fact that Israel's actually run it pretty close the last couple of years, and the brouhaha that would ensue if they found themselves compelled to host it in Tel Aviv would be considerable. So that is a genuine new rule. The one that isn't real is they are not, as you suspected, Rob, banning viewers from the block vote. So Swedes are still at liberty to vote for Norwegians and Portuguese for Spaniards, and nobody at all for the British, as is currently traditional.
Thanks, gang.
Yeah, so 0-0.
I think I slightly snatched defeat from the jaws of victory with that one. Are you ready for your second question, Andrew?
I am.
This week, a new book about Paul Simon's, and you have to call it, seminal 1986 album Graceland was published. The book, titled Days of Miracle and Wonder, was written by Ashley Kahn and examines the making of the record and its cultural impact, including grappling with the never quite gone away arguments around cultural appropriation, there's no such thing, and whose timeless melodies, with which the album is furnished in abundance, they really are. It's a classic album with a classic album cover. What is on the cover? You know it. So this is why it's going to be good. Okay, everyone, millions, tens of millions of people bought this album. I'm sure you have at least one copy of it.
I do.
Not on Spotify, as a CD.
I do.
Is it A, a painting of Mary and Joseph riding their donkey to Bethlehem as depicted by a contemporary artist from Lesotho? Is it B, an image of an unknown African king found on an 18th century coin in what is now Zimbabwe? Is it C, a 15th century Ethiopian Coptic Christian representation of St. George? Or is it D, a picture painted by Paul Simon himself of Elvis Presley entering the gates of his Graceland estate on a stylized horse, thought to be a riff on an image of Elvis doing that same thing in his beloved 1956 Cadillac Eldorado?
This is a great annoying question because obviously I can see the cover in my head. I just okay. Let me think about this. I'm ruling out King David because, fond though I am of that,
he's not in it. Do you mean
the Ethiopian one?
Okay, that's St. George, yeah.
St. George, rather. No, I'm thinking I do actually have one of those Ethiopian-style paintings of King David hanging in my lounge room, which I bought in Addis Ababa many years ago. It's lovely, and I'm very fond of that genre of African art. But Graceland was made with South African musicians, and this Ethiopia is quite a long way away. So I'm ruling that one out. The Elvis Presley one sounds a bit of a Rob Boundism. What were the other two?
A painting of Mary and Joseph riding their donkey to Bethlehem, as depicted by a contemporary artist from Lesotho. Or B, an image of an unknown African king found on an 18th century coin in what is now Zimbabwe.
Lesotho is a small landlocked country within the borders of South Africa. King Letsia, I'm thinking of Lesotho, is the only actual reigning monarch ever to have been interviewed by the Foreign Desk on Monocle Radio.
I love a funny African king.
Yeah. He was delightful. Yeah. So I'm going with that. I'm saying it is the image from Lesotho.
Andrew. It is C, a 15th century Coptic Christian representation of St. George. That's where the kind of brouhaha, to use a Mullerism, started, by not even using a South African picture. Okay,
this is a disaster.
Do you want to know that picture was found by, I think, Paul Simon? It's on a harag or scroll, which is the Ethiopian term, sourced from the Langmuir collection at the Peabody Essex Museum in Salem, Massachusetts. Do you want, I know you're going to like this, a little clip of one of the songs?
I do.
I just wanted to get the bass guitar solo because I knew that was going to be your favourite bit.
Yeah, I can't play that bit. So it's 0-all. It's 0-all.
0-0.
Here is your final chance this week, Rob, to get something on the board. And your question is this. In Maumelle, Arkansas, a football player with the Maumelle High School Hornets, go Hornets, was disconcerted when removing his helmet following practice to find what in it? Was it A, $25,000 in cash? Was it B, a wasp's nest? Was it C, a snake? Or was it D, a necklace stolen in a recent raid of local jewellery shop, Little Rocks?
Oh, that's good. This is in Arkansas.
Maumelle, Arkansas, which is,
Maumelle, Arkansas.
to place it, a sort of very outer suburb of Little Rock.
Yeah. Okay, so I heard something about a wasp's nest. I think some lady, I think this is in Japan, I don't know, went away, took her 2 weeks holiday, summer holiday, and came back to find a wasp had made its nest, or wasps had made their nest in a filing cabinet or something on it.
Amazing.
A Rolodex.
I mean, they do get everywhere.
So I'm thinking that might have been lifted from that, although it would be quite shocking to find a wasp. I think if you played a game of football, you might, I think the necklace is as much. I'm wondering if Little Rocks is a Müllerism. It's very nice indeed. The other one, what have we got? $25,000 in cash.
Or a snake. So it's either good news or bad news, basically.
I think I'm going to go with Little Rocks. I'm going with D. I'm going with the stolen necklace.
It was
in such a local news vibe about it.
I know. I'm actually quite tempted to go and open a jewellery shop called Little Rocks. It was, in fact, a snake. So you could say that the poor kid was rattled, except that it was technically a pit viper, which will do you no good if it bites you. He is actually extremely fortunate. The coach has reiterated to his team, do look in your helmets before putting them on. So, Rob, 3 gutter balls there. I still have the chance to snatch it. Let's have it.
Are you ready for question 3?
I am.
Well, you've kind of prefaced this with your last musings. We're back in Africa.
Okay.
Now, this week, the Archbishop of Canterbury was doing a Church of England Says Sorry for Everything tour of the continent. In Ghana, she met King Osei Tutu II of the Ashanti. They both looked stellar. The Archbishop in flowing purple crimson, the King in a boldly decorated off-the-shoulder kente worn like a toga. The meeting took place in the Mania Palace in Kumasi, where photographs captured the regnal artefact with which the King of the Ashanti is entrusted. So is King Osei Tutu II A, the retainer of the orb of wisdom? Is he B, the keeper of the spear of virility? Is he C, the bearer of the shield of love? Or is he D, the custodian of the golden stool?
The bearer of the shield of love sounds like a Marvin Gaye album from about 1972.
Yes, one of his
Disappointingly,
one
Rob,
of his pot boilers.
Disappointingly, Rob, I think I actually know this. There was, I forget the exact year, it's sometime, I think, in the late 1800s, an extremely silly war fought between the United Kingdom and the Ashanti over a golden stool. So I'm going to go ahead and say it's that. Get in!
Oh, no. Do you want to have a look at the golden stool?
Of course I want to have a look at the golden stool.
Here it is. Oh, hang on. Here it is. So in the middle. I think that's it, in the middle. And it's simply got a box of Kleenex on it. If that's the golden stool, maybe that's what you need after you've used the spear of virility, Andrew.
I don't know if it did actually have a box of Kleenex on it at the time. I am frantically looking it up. It was in 1900.
Okay.
But a rebellion by the Ashanti Empire against the Brits in colonial Ghana.
Damn it.
So I hope you, on behalf,
we both took one then.
On behalf of your people, Rob, are suitably abashed. Anyway,
the golden stool has tripped us up once again as a nation.
Well, exactly. Order has been restored. I won, you lost.
Well done. Well done. Congratulations.
Have a great weekend, and thanks for joining me. You're listening to The Daily with me, Andrew Muller. It is, if you're listening to this in Europe, unusually hot. If you're listening in the Middle East, probably about usually hot. If you're listening in the Southern Hemisphere, maybe come back to this item about 5 or 6 months from now. For it is that time of year at which governments issue advice to their citizens about how best to endure the heat. This mostly amounts to regional variations on the bleeding obvious, i.e. stay out of it, but those regional variations are nevertheless illuminating. First of all, from Dubai, here's Monocle's Gulf correspondent Inzamam Rashid.
Well, Andrew, my advice is don't try to beat the heat. Surrender to it. Saudi Arabia's Ministry of Health gets pleasingly specific. Drink plenty of water, wear light clothing, avoid hot and heavy meals, and if heat exhaustion does strike, put cold compressors on your neck or armpit. Something I've never tried, but may well give it a go. It's perhaps not the most glamorous image of a Gulf summer, but at 45 to 50 degrees Celsius, nobody should be particularly concerned about glamour, which will not be the case in Dubai. The UAE takes a rather more regulatory approach. Between June and summer, outdoor work under direct sunlight is banned between 12:30 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So all the hard-working migrant builders building towers at speed usually work throughout the night. And Qatar is stricter still. There are restrictions there that start at 10 o'clock in the morning and run until 3:30. Frankly, spend 5 minutes outside at that time of day and you'll understand why. This isn't really weather you negotiate with. For those of us who live here though, there are also unofficial rules. Rule number 1, air conditioning is not a luxury. Your electricity bill might be going through the roof in August, but turning the AC off is simply not a serious financial strategy. You just pay it and try not to look too closely at the number. Rule number 2, if you wear glasses, prepare for several months of temporary blindness. You walk out of an aggressively air-conditioned building into the humidity and your lenses instantly fog up. I feel like I need windscreen wipers on them. For about 30 seconds, you're essentially navigating the Gulf by instinct. And rule number 3, abandon any heroic ideas about outdoor exercise. Paddle might be practically a national sport here, but outdoor paddle in August? Absolutely not. There is fitness, and then there is deliberately placing yourself inside an oven whilst holding a racket. And if you're an outdoor runner, which I am not, aptly named after the worst runner between the wicket in cricket history, sign up to the Maulathons. And there should be no embarrassment whatsoever about carrying a handheld fan. Once the humidity really arrives, dignity becomes secondary. In doubt, fan. There is one unexpected upside though. My building has a swimming pool, and because it's so incredibly hot, hardly anybody wants to use it during the day. So while everyone else is sensibly staying indoors, I occasionally get almost the entire pool to myself. Admittedly though, Andrew, the water can feel more like a bath than a refreshing swim. But in a Gulf summer, you take your victories where you can get them.
Thank you, Inzi. My own home country of Australia also has considerable experience of heat, though we were arguably a little late as a nation and people to take the sun seriously and had the prevalence of skin cancer to prove it. The beginnings of a necessary rethink occurred in the early 1980s to the soundtrack of a cheerful ditty delivered by a lisping cartoon seagull called Sid.
The sun's shining down, so desperate to brown. But skin cancer isn't so hot, no it's not. So if you take a run or work in the sun, should you sizzle like a sausage? Most certainly not. Be especially careful about small kiddies. Just say these simple words: slip, slop, slap. It sounds like a breeze when you say it like that.
That advice, incidentally, since updated to become slip, slop, slap, slide, as in sunglasses onto your face, and seek, as in seek somewhere shady, you idiot. And there is also advice on how to stay cool when it's hot from the government of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, which is to say North Korea. And joining me to go through some of that is Monocle's Deputy Head of Radio, Tom Webb. Tom, first of all, are these the people to whom you would turn for advice?
No, but I don't live in a country that regularly hits 40 degrees, and they are. And unfortunately, they've had a very, very hot few weeks. They're not in a very good position to resist the heat. We do know that, but they do have some government advice, which is not that uncommon in Asia. Well,
this is advice published in Rodong Sinmun, which is the official newspaper of the Workers' Party of North Korea. I try never to miss an issue. It's your one-stop shop for pictures of Kim Jong-un pointing at things and beaming beatifically into the middle distance. They are advising dog meat soup as a coolant, as it were. Are you tempted?
They are. I would say about the newspaper also lovely pictures of people running into the sea, in which they are apparently in the ocean from 8 a.m. until it gets dark. fabulous to flick through.
Do they have someone bring the dog meat soup to them, or do they come out of the water for it?
The dog meat soup is very much made at home, and the interesting thing here is too, nutritionally it is very good, but also the heat. It doesn't seem like the right thing to do as have hot food in the heat, but actually it is encouraged, and it's very common in Vietnam and Mexico because it does encourage sweating, and sweating encourages cooling. So it's not as crazy as it sounds.
Rodong Sinmun further suggests, though, Tom, and I quote, even if dog meat soup spills on the top of your foot during the dog days of summer, that may be an attempt at humour, credit where it's due, it becomes medicine. I'm not sure, though, whether they mean dog meat that spills or dog meat soup that spills on any part of you has medicinal properties, or if it is specifically only the top of your foot.
It's confusing because that's a very well-known phrase in North Korea. No matter if it is hot or it's cold, dog meat is so nutritious that even if it lands on your foot, you will absorb it, or it is a good thing. Don't cry over spilt milk. It is just one of those phrases.
That's not true, is it, Tom?
It is.
You've made all of that up. They are also possibly more sensibly, Tom, counselling watermelon, cucumbers and mung beans. I mean, either they think this will actually go into work, or they rather underestimated cucumber, watermelon and mung bean production in the last 5-year plan, and they've got a lot of extra they're trying to shift.
It is possible. Also boiling everything, most things for 24 hours, particularly eggs. Boiling foods is supposed to...
Boiling eggs for 24 hours, they'll be a bit bloody tough after that, won't they?
It is a great cure for the common cold throughout winter, they say.
Before we let you go back to whatever your own summer heat recipes are, Tom, would you care to share them with the listener? How do you keep cool on a day like today?
I use the cold plunge. There are many options for the cold plunge. You have the natural, which you can get in your local river. Also in your local gym, you can get a cold plunge. And if you sit in it for 60 seconds and then calm, and you sit for 10 minutes, your body will naturally cool.
Tom Webb, thank you for joining us. You're listening to The Daily. This is The Daily on Monocle Radio, and now to the world of cinema. Monocle Radio's senior correspondent Fernando Augusto Pacheco met right here in our studio Ebbs Berno, American filmmaker, producer and cultural leader, also chair of the Sundance Institute. He's the man who oversaw the move of the Sundance Festival to Boulder. Fernando began by asking Ebbs if he was surprised by the strong performances original films are having this year.
I think it's definitely better than people were predicting. I think one of the key things, I'm a filmmaker, so one of the key things that I have to hold on to is optimism. But look, I think increasingly what we do know is that there are more and more avenues through which stories can be told. For me, I relish going into a cinema and sitting and watching a big screen. There's absolutely nothing that gives me a greater rush, seeing it up there, hearing it, the sound, all of those emotional pieces that as a filmmaker, you think, oh my gosh, if they can see it on a big screen and not on their laptop, I really want that. That said, we also have to be realistic about the fact that people are consuming storytelling from so many different places, and that's also very democratizing, right? I mean, there's something incredibly exciting about knowing that someone in a small town in Tallahassee, Florida, like where I'm from, a little kid like me in Tallahassee, Florida, or someone farther away in a small village in Belgium or in Sao Paulo, that's a big town, but anywhere around the world can have the ability to tell a story and not have to have all of the infrastructure that has traditionally come with that process. And so I think we have to hold on to the necessity of storytelling, and I think we have to hold on to the necessity of films being in cinemas in particular. That's a great passion, as I said. But I think we also have to thoroughly embrace the true democratization of that.
A little flexibility there as well.
A little flexibility there. And, I had the privilege, I think it was in October, with my colleague Eugene Hernandez, who's our festival director at Sundance. We had the privilege together of being invited to an audience with the Pope, with a number of other storytellers. And one of the most profound things that has stuck with me that His Holiness was really advocating was that cinemas, these structures, we can't forget that around the world they remain not just places where people come to see a film, but they remain centers of culture in small communities throughout the world, and they are places that convene and build community. And so I think we sometimes, certainly, London and New York, LA, we lament, not enough people are going to the cinema, not enough. And we want to boost those numbers. But it's more than just seeing the movie. It's building and creating a sense of community. And I think that's one of the things we consistently stand by and try to do at Sundance.
Oh, that's beautiful. I think you kind of answered this already, but I was going to ask what's the relationship of Sundance and the streamers? Because I think every different festivals, they have different relationships. So do you feel is a positive one, a flexible one?
Oh, yes. It's a very positive relationship with the streamers. It's a positive relationship. We try to maintain a positive relationship with everyone in the industry. And that is because, first and foremost, we are there to serve artists. We are there for the storytellers. That is our number one mission. That is what Bob Redford's goal was when he started this. And so everything that we do is seen through the lens of the artist. We are constantly in communication with, our entire staff, the majority, are in one way or another storytellers in their own right. And so with that in mind, yes, the streamers, the studios, these smaller production companies, you name it, we are a big tent. We're a big tent family.
That was Fernando Augusto Pacheco speaking to Ebbs Berno. Now, while many listeners may be tuning in to this edition of The Daily on holiday, there will be others who have decided that given that everyone else has gone on holiday, the places they have gone on holiday to will be unpleasantly crowded, and that the prudent course is therefore to stay home with a good book. Here are some recommendations from Team Monocle for the kind of read which will make you feel like you've gone somewhere even when you haven't. So here are Rashmi Narayan, food and travel writer for Monocle, The Times and more, Hassan Anderson, Monocle producer, Sophie Monaghan-Coombs, Monocle's associate culture editor indeed, and Anita Riota, Monocle producer. It was pretty much every journalist's dream assignment. In 1999, Dutch newspaper NRC Handelsblad suggested to their star feature writer Geert Mak that he just take the year off and drive around Europe, reporting on what he found and what he thought about it. It was, his editors reasoned, coming up for the end of an eventful century for the continent. What with one thing and another, there was bound to be plenty of material.
I'm Fionnuala Sweeney in London. Here's a quick look at the top stories. NATO is taken by surprise by the sudden arrival of Russian troops in Yugoslavia.
They even bought him a camper van. Mac's daily dispatches, when eventually gathered into the hefty travelogue In Europe, constituted a masterpiece of reporting, travel writing, and, in its droll, contemplative fashion, philosophy. The subtitle, Travels in the 20th Century, was astutely chosen. This is a work that demonstrates to the alert and curious tourist how to travel in time as well as space, to see that history is always present. I've come to know most of the cities Mac visited to write in Europe and have not found him to be wrong about many of them, or about much of the human condition that caused so many of them such convulsions. Visiting the Bucharest villa once home to Nicolae and Elena Ceausescu and marvelling at its tacky fixtures and gaudy fittings, he writes, I find myself in the house of a cowherd who has just won the lottery.
Books that help me travel or have really inspired me to travel. There have been several, but the one I've enjoyed, the latest one I've actually read and really thought I want to do more of this, has been Monisha Rajesh's Around the World in 80 Trains. It's a nod to Jules Verne's, Around the World in 80 Days, but I've always been a train enthusiast and always loved railway journeys because traveling as a family, none of us had to fight over a playlist, none of us had to stop for break. breaks as often, and it just, as a family, we got on so much better on train journeys. But this, especially with overnight trains, it's just changed my perspective so much. One regret is I wish I'd done the Trans-Siberian Express back in the day when I really wanted to, but didn't dedicate the time. But hey, never say never. But I definitely want to do some overnight trains. The Caledonian Sleeper to Scotland is one, and the other one would probably be going all the way from London to Berlin. Just sleep in London, wake up in Berlin or Paris. But I think seeing the world through trains has been really inspirational, and seeing Manisha's journey. And it's not just about the places in itself, it's also the people she's met. And I'm a big conversation person, so this has definitely inspired me. And who knows, this summer I may take more train journeys.
Lebanon might not be the first place you think of escaping to when looking to be whisked away somewhere by a book, especially not at the moment. But for anyone looking for a slightly more adventurous getaway, my recommendation is the Hezbollah Hiking Club by Dom Joly. I grew up on Dom Joly's Trigger Happy TV, the quintessentially British hit comedy show that defined a generation with its noisy pranks on a conflict-avoidant public.
Hello? Yeah, I'm in the library, yeah!
So when I came across the Hezbollah Hiking Club, a catchy title, and saw Dom Joly's name on the cover, I initially doubted it could be the same guy. But it turns out Joly was born in Lebanon and grew up there throughout the Civil War until he was 18. After leaving, he never properly went back. This book is Joly's attempt to reunite with the country he grew up in many years later, doing so by conquering the 470-kilometre Lebanon mountain trail with no hiking experience whatsoever. Along the way, Joly and two unsuspecting British mates he has dragged along with him encounter everything from the Hezbollah Museum for Resistance Tourism to the eerie Wadi al-Jamajim, or the Valley of Skulls, as well as some breathtaking views of Lebanon's natural landscapes. Joly has described the book as a love letter to Lebanon, and it's one he has penned with wit, humour and levity. Just the kind of thing a Monocle reader might appreciate when very serious geopolitical histories are the topic of discussion.
To those who appreciate wisteria and sunshine, small medieval Italian castle on the shores of the Mediterranean to be let furnished for the month of April. Necessary servants remain. So Elizabeth von Arnim's The Enchanted April begins with an advertisement, and the promise of that idyllic setting brings together four unlikely holidaygoers. A bestseller in 1923, The Enchanted April takes readers to the 15th century Castello Brown that sits above the harbour of Portofino. A month of leisure stretches before Mrs. Wilkins, Mrs. Arbuthnot, Lady Caroline and Mrs. Fisher, and von Arnim has a particular gift for her transportive descriptions of not just the sights, but the very particular sense of this halcyon place. But not everything here is a fairy tale. The Enchanted April is sharply funny. Who gets the best room? How should bills be settled up? Why do some people insist on talking all the time? It might be 100 years old, but anyone who's been on a group holiday will resonate with the frictions von Arnim recounts. And that's before any men arrive.
This is a World Trade Center bound E train. The next stop is 34th Street and Station.
Clear of the closing doors, please.
If you're stuck at home or at work in August, may I suggest we teleport to another place and time altogether? My book recommendation takes us to the New York City of the 60s and 70s. Patti Smith's Just Kids will enthrall you with every page. It will take you to the famed Electric Lady Studios, where a nervous Patti is cajoled and encouraged by none other than Jimi Hendrix. You'll also watch her get a pat on the head by a cape-clad Salvador Dali as he tells her she looks like a gothic crow. But more importantly than any celebrity-studded anecdote, we're in my hometown of New York City, more than 40 years before my own coming of age. It's a city I can conjure in my mind with ease and love with all my might, and yet Patti Smith's New York is one that I'll never know, one that doesn't exist anymore, scrubbed away like the graffiti that used to dominate subway cars by the more corporate ambitions of the 80s and 90s. So I visit it in her memories. If you can't laze on a beach this August, then why not hit the concrete instead and jump into Patti Smith's Just Kids? Let the sounds of Janis Joplin at the Chelsea Hotel grip you and walk along the beach on Coney Island, a place that Patti adores for what she calls its gritty innocence. You may even come across two 20-year-olds that truly epitomize that description, full of ambitions and dreams yet unfulfilled, writing their names in the sand.
This is The Daily with me, Andrew Muller, and finally on today's show, it's our weekly attempt to calculate how much the wiser the last 7 days have left us. We learned this week of at least one startling economic effect of Europe's sizzling summer.
We have 550,000 of cheese wheels here. We take care of them, and every cheese wheel is a client for us.
We learned that the quaint Italian practice, specifically the quaint Emilia-Romagnan practice, of depositing wheels of Parmesan cheese against loans to dairy farmers was menaced by the spiralling costs of the energy required to stop the collateral from melting.
Outside, the temperature is very high, and so we need a lot of energy to maintain humidity and temperature for the cheese.
To ensure that their investments mature. But we learned that there was at least no concern about the security of the valuable cheeses. That place is a veritable Roquefort Knox.
Taxi for what we learned.
All right, slow start, tough crowd. Hang in there. Sticking with the subject of what might also be the effect of too much sun, we learned something of why the United Kingdom experiences such difficulty in completing ambitious and/or actually pretty necessary infrastructure projects.
Now, a $500 million power link between the UK and Ireland has had to be diverted just so that it won't disturb the pretend gravesite.
We learned when we looked reluctantly into it that the pretend gravesite in question is that of Dobby, a character from those books and films for children about a wizard, and that in one of said films, said Dobby expires on a stretch of Pembrokeshire beach. We learned that people, by which we mean morons, have since been laying stones, socks and other votives on the spot, and that rather than bulldozing this makeshift shrine and any dopey pilgrims who happen to wander before the blade into the Irish Sea, as would obviously have been the sensible course, as all right-thinking people will agree. It had been decided to reroute the cable at expense which was too great, however negligible it may have been. Still, we should have learned by now not to be too surprised by the peculiar power of superstitious deference by credulous rubes to fictional characters, which is, after all, the basis of most of human civilization.
Ooh, edgy.
Such is the fearless satire people have come to expect from the What We Learned News Review every Friday on Monocle Radio, and we learned this from US Vice President and man who will one day tell us solemnly of his heroic labours to hold it all together from the inside with no thought to his own advancement or reputation, J.D. Vance. From whom we learned that the Almighty communicates principally by dropping crockery.
There was this moment where a glass fell off the wall at the point of our conversation where, I think an atheist would dismiss that as, oh, who cares, a glass fell off the wall. But at that moment, it felt like God was trying to send me a message.
We did not regrettably discover what the message was exactly, but we're going to take a guess.
Be more careful how you unstack the dishwasher, you idiot.
We learned, however, that Vance's immediate superior had been less willing to trust in the Lord.
This morning, the Washington Post reporting President Trump quickly sneaked off the plane and into a catering truck before boarding a smaller, far less conspicuous military aircraft to begin the journey home.
We learned, yes, that US President Donald Trump, alerted to some sort of allegedly Iranian threat to his aircraft while in Ankara for last month's NATO summit, had absconded in a catering truck to another plane, leaving the White House press corps and at least 2 members of his cabinet, several senior military and their staffs, to take their chances with whichever Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps commando may have awaited in the shrubbery with a shoulder-mounted missile launcher. And we should not wonder, the catering truck lighter by whatever quantities of Doritos and Tootsie Rolls as may have been aboard. We learned, however, that the deception was even more cunning than it looked.
Why was it too dangerous for you to fly on Air Force One, but not too dangerous for the press?
I think actually the plane that I flew on was at greater risk. I think it was at greater risk because that would be the plane I think that they would be more likely to go for.
So we learned that the entire somewhat slapstick subterfuge had been ordered by Trump's Secret Service detail in order to put the President of the United States on the aircraft which was in the greater danger? Perhaps he isn't tipping them enough? Unless, and we must sadly entertain the possibility, unlikely though it sounds, Trump was simply unable to countenance or tolerate the propagation of any scenario which was not entirely about him. We learned anyway of possible indications that hitherto loyal viewers were somewhat wearying of the show.
Tears on my pillow.
As we learned, and not for the first time, of the slenderness of the difference between the Trump endorsement and the proverbial kiss of death. We learned that Trump's preferred pillow-purveying protege Mike Lindell had rather belly-flopped in Minnesota's Republican gubernatorial primary. Come on, where's the clip? You know the one.
Gubernatorial.
Yeah.
Important part of my vocabulary.
I'll use that, yeah.
As soon as possible.
Gubernatorial. Not, it seems, an adjective which will ever be applied to Mike Lindell.
Aww.
But we learned that Lindell was absorbing defeat with the dignified philosophical equanimity with which he, and indeed the entire Trumpist movement, have always faced disappointment.
I'm not going to sit by until these numbers are explained. Someone's going to have to explain to me why...
Happy to help. The number in your opponent's column is bigger than the number in yours. For Monocle Radio, I'm Andrew Muller. And that is all for this edition of The Daily, thanks to our plethora of in-house guests. Today's show was produced by Anita Riota and researched by Kaylee Martin. Our sound engineer was Christy O'Grady, with editing assistance from Mariella Bevan. I'm Andrew Muller here in London. The Daily is back at the same time on Monday. Have a great weekend.